2022 to order. This meeting is convened by electronic means, as such council members may participate in person or by electronic means. For council member participating electronically, please ensure your video is turned on for the purposes of confirming quorum. Council members are reminded that in accordance with section 14.13 of the procedure bylaw, members must enable their video to confirm quorum. If members attending by electronic means lose connection during any portion of the hearing, we'll recess the meeting because this is a public hearing until the connection is restored. Members of the public can view the proceedings via live stream and YouTube link, which are on our Twitter @VanCityClerk. Of course, as always, we acknowledge that we are on traditional unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people, and we thank them for having care for this land and look forward to working with them in partnership as we continue to build this great city together. I also want to take a moment to recognize our awesome staff who are here at the city. Thanks for everything you do. Can we have the roll call, please, Clerk?
Yes, Mayor Stewart in the chair. Councillor Carr.
Here.
And Councillor DeGenova has a leave of absence until 8 p.m. tonight. Councillor Fry.
Present.
Councillor Swanson.
Here.
Councillor Hardwick.
Present.
Councillor Weep.
Present.
Councillor Boyle.
Present.
Councillor Dominato.
Present.
Councillor Blythe.
Present.
Councillor Kirby-Young. The hearing has quorum, Mayor Stewart.
Thanks very much. Just some procedural matters before we proceed. As a part of our ongoing COVID-19 health and safety precautions, staff who are presenting or responding to questions will be in attendance virtually. Hybrid options continue to be available for council and the public with restrictions. Public may participate by speaking over the phone, submitting written comments to council, or speaking in person. The maximum allowable capacity for public in-person participation permitted in the council chamber is 20. As such, virtual participation is highly encouraged. Speakers will have 5 minutes to make their comments and should limit their comments to the merits of the report being considered. Speakers also state whether they are in support or opposed to the recommendations and if they are a resident of Vancouver. Speakers may only speak once and should follow along on Twitter @VanCityClerk for updates on the progress of the meeting so they don't miss their turn to speak. Any comments on the agenda items can be submitted in writing through our online web form at vancouver.ca/public-hearing-comments, and that link is also on Twitter. Those speaking on behalf of other persons or group will have 8 minutes to speak, and only if those represented are on the line and must not be speakers themselves. Speakers who are pre-registered with presentations are reminded that the public live feed has a slight delay. To navigate through the slides of your presentation, please say next so that the clerk may advance your slides. I also want to note that City of Vancouver's longstanding commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion, including utmost respect for all genders. Remind council that when addressing speakers and staff, we will avoid using gendered honorifics and will instead refer to the person by last name, first name, role, or title. Our role here tonight is to be a quasi-judicial body. It means that council is only to consider the merits of the rezoning application or heritage designation. Council members may ask clarifying questions from speakers, including the applicant, or technical advice from staff, but should save debate for after the close of the speakers list. After hearing from speakers, council may 1, approve the application in principle, 2, refuse the application, or 3, refer the application to staff for further consideration. Finally, if council does not conclude hearing from all speakers this evening, we will recess and reconvene the meeting on January 27th at 6 p.m. in council chambers. Again, if we don't finish tonight, it will move to January 27th at 6 p.m. So let's start with our first item, the CD1 text amendment for 688 Southwest Marine Drive. And does any member of council wish to declare a conflict of interest on this item? If not, we're going to move to the clerk now, who'll read the application and summary of correspondence. Please go ahead.
This is an application by Chard Development Limited to amend the zoning and development bylaw for CD1 66 at 622 to 688 Southwest Marine Drive to permit mixed-use development with 2 buildings at 28 and 32 stories, with commercial space on the ground floor, private childcare space, and 573 secured market rental units, with 20% of the residential floor area secured as below market rental units. A height of 96.2 meters or 316 feet with additional height for rooftop amenity and floor space ratio of 6.84 are proposed. The General Manager of Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability recommends approval subject to conditions set out in the summary and recommendation of the public hearing agenda. The following correspondence has been received since referral to public hearing: 10 pieces of correspondence in support and 1 piece of correspondence dealing with other aspects of the application. This represents all correspondence received up to 5 p.m. today.
Thank you so much. So any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by code 55691 hashtag or pound before the close of the speakers list. That number is available on the live stream, and I'll mention it many times this evening, so don't worry if you haven't written it down. You can always go to Twitter. And we have Joseph Tohill from the Rezoning Center to go through the application. We do have speakers, council, so we should just go through the application. Please go ahead, staff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Joseph Tohill, and I'm the rezoning planner for this application on Southwest Marine Drive, which is being considered under the Marple Plan and the Ashley Mar Issues Report. Before I go further, just want to double check that you can hear me okay and that you can see the slides.
Yes, on both counts, please go ahead.
Perfect. The site is located on a triangular shaped lot bound by Southwest Marine Drive, Ash Street, and West 70th Avenue. Currently zoned CD1, the property consists of 1- and 2-story commercial buildings.
Can I just stop you there, staff? Is that I am looking at the public screen and it does look a little wonky. Just wondering if clerks can take a look at that. Might just be me, but I don't think so.
Mayor Stewart, it is the clerk here, and yes, it's got a layering. It takes the screen a few minutes to warm up. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. I think we're ready to go. Please continue with the presentation.
Perfect. Currently zoned CD1, the property consists of 1- and 2-story commercial buildings. There are no residential tenants on site. Properties across 70th Avenue are built with low-density residential, envisioned for 6-story apartments with choice of use at grade under the Marple Community Plan. Across Ash Street is the Ashley Mar Housing Co-op, which Council recently approved for rezoning to enable additional social housing and market rental up to 31 stories. The surrounding area is also home to a number of other existing social, co-op housing, and seniors housing sites. The site is located within the Marple neighborhood, 1 block from the Marine Drive Canada Line station and bus loop. The surrounding area has undergone significant changes in the last 10 years as it transitions to a high-density, mixed-use, transit-oriented community hub under the Camby Corridor Plan. A number of amenities are located nearby, including childcare facilities, Ash Park, and Marple Oak Ridge Family Place, with a range of shopping and services available at the transit hub. The site is within the Marple Community Plan, which guides change in Marple over the next 30 years. For this site, the plan envisioned 2 towers at 12 and 16 stories on a podium with choice of use on the ground floor. A target of 20% of residential units are to be social housing, with modest increases in height and density to assist with project viability. A mid-size urban plaza is also envisioned for the southeast corner of the site. Council approved the Ashley Mar Issues Report in 2020 that directed staff to consider rezoning for the Ashley Mar Housing Co-op and nearby social and inclusionary housing sites in the Marine Landing area with heights above those envisioned by the plan. These heights would be subject to satisfying certain housing, built form, and urban design criteria. For sites without social housing, such as the subject site, additional height can be considered under one of 2 scenarios. A site must either provide 20% of floor area as social housing or provide 100% of residential floor area as secured rental with a minimum of 20% of floor area for households with moderate income. The application before you today is pursuing the second option. The current application is also guided by built form and public realm directions based on Council's approval this past December of the Marine Landing Policy Update. Some of the guidelines included ensuring no new net shadowing on Ash Park and maintaining Marine Gateway as the highest point for building heights in the area. This application was received on December 22nd of 2020. The proposal is for a mixed-use development with 2 towers at 28 and 32 stories on 2 podiums separated by a mid-block break and plaza. 573 secure rental units are proposed, with 20% of the residential floor space allocated to below market rental units. These below market rental units include 89 below market units operated by the applicant, and then 28 units operated by a nonprofit operator, the Ywca. Commercial space is on the ground level, and a 37-space private childcare facility is located on level 2. A height of 330 feet is proposed with an FSR of 6.84. 3 levels of underground parking are located underground with access from West 70th Avenue, and this development would generate approximately 935 construction jobs. To address public realm and urban design objectives, the applicant has proposed a mid-block break between the 2 buildings, which provides pedestrian access to a larger plaza at the south side of the site. The plaza and mid-block break allows for additional landscaping and seating and activates the public realm. Several on-site trees along 70th Avenue will be retained, with some of these trees integrated into the landscape design near the plaza. This slide shows the ownership and affordability model proposed. 20% of the residential floor space is allocated to below market rental units, with operation of these units divided between both the applicant and the Ywca. The Ywca would operate 28 below market family units, targeting shelter rates, hills, and moderate income households. The Ywca intends that these units provide safe and affordable housing for single-parent households with children. Specialized supports and amenities have also been provided on site to support these residents. 89 of the below market units will be operated by the applicant and geared towards moderate incomes between $60,000 to $83,000. The units will be 12 to 15% below equivalent market rents in newer rental buildings and tied to specific rates at or above CMHC average rents. This table compares the average below market rent and household income served for the applicant operated below market units versus ownership options and market rents in newer buildings. The proposed below market units offer a more affordable alternative than housing ownership and with more affordable rental options than market rents in comparable newer buildings. During the virtual open house, staff received a total of 24 pieces of feedback. Support was expressed for the height, density, and fit, the additional affordable housing stock, and for the range of building amenities. Key concerns were for height, density, and fit, traffic and safety concerns, parking, and the public realm. In response, the density, height, and built form align with the objectives in the issues report and the marine landing policy update. Rezoning conditions reduce the perceived height of the towers and enhance the public realm. Given the site's proximity to rapid transit and future improvements to Camby Street and a future bikeway along Ash Street, building tenants will have access to a range of sustainable transportation options. The public benefits associated include the provision of 456 new secured market rental units and 117 new below market units targeting a range of income levels, with a portion targeting deeper levels of affordability. Development cost levies of $12.7 million and a public art contribution of $900,000 are expected. In summary, this proposal meets the intent of the Ashley Mar Issues Report and the housing goals in the Marple Community Plan. Staff recommend approval subject to conditions in Appendix B. Staff and the applicant team are available to answer questions. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thanks so much for your presentation. Just gonna ask now if the applicant team is here to speak to the application.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We do have a presentation.
Great. Okay, well, you can proceed as soon as it's all loaded up.
Hi, this is the clerk here in the chamber. For the applicant, you need to share your presentation.
To Mayor and Council, I will proceed without sharing a presentation. I'll speak to our notes. If that's okay with you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
So thank you very much for considering our proposal this evening on Byron Chart of Chart Development. Firstly, I'd like to thank staff for working so closely with our team over these past few years and collaboration and approach for designing this exciting project. I do also want to thank the community, both the residents and the business community, for their active participation in the process. The feedback received through active community engagement has been extremely valuable, as it has allowed us to refine and we believe improve our proposal.
Speaker, before you go on, you are fading in and out a little bit. Perhaps if you just stay centered on your microphone, that will help.
Will do. My apologies.
No problem.
Finally, I wish to thank and highlight our partners to the Ywca of Metro Vancouver for their enthusiastic participation and support of this project. Charter began working with the Ywca in 2016. Today, the relationship has resulted in the creation of May Brown Place in the city of North Vancouver. The May Brown Place have been given the opportunity for safe, supportive housing with unlimited access to all community amenities at deeply affordable rates. If approved, this development will do the same for 28 single moms and their children. The YWCA will first offer these homes to individuals from the existing Marple community. One reason I'm so passionate about this project and the work of the Ywca is the impact that these homes have on the lives of the residents. I believe you Ywca residents joining us this evening to speak directly to their experience. I've had the privilege of speaking with some of these residents in the past is honestly one of the biggest highlights of my career. Knowing that the work we're doing is truly making a meaningful difference is really what makes this partnership worthwhile. Through this proposal, we are excited to continue our commitment to a diversity of housing. In addition to the 28 deeply affordable homes that will be offered through our partnership with the Ywca, this development will also increase the supply of purpose-built rental housing within the Marple neighborhood by a full 12%. This will be accomplished throughout the displacement of a single resident. 35% of all homes will be family-oriented 2- and 3-bedroom suites. With the inclusion of a 7,000 square foot daycare and a publicly accessible central plaza that includes a children's splash pad, outdoor ping pong tables, and plenty of seating, this will be a truly welcoming and inclusive, family-friendly, transit-oriented community. I'm excited by the opportunity to bring this vision to life. At this point, I would like to say thank you again for your consideration for this rezoning application and to pass it over to Brenda Ulmer of the Ywca to provide a bit more detail on the supportive housing aspect of this proposal.
Thank you, Byron, and hello, Mayor and Council. I'm so pleased to be here. I'm the Vice President of Fund Development at the Ywca and part of our housing team. So we have been working with Byron, and as a family business with similar values to us, we've really been successful together. We find our partnership has been very unique, and we'd like to see it replicated, which is why we're thrilled to be here today. They've shown a real interest in understanding the challenges of providing deeply affordable housing and working with us to deliver high quality housing in an ethical manner. We all know the National Housing Strategy has identified women and children as a group that is disproportionately impacted by housing need. I see it at work every day. We currently have 1,800 single mothers and children on our wait list for housing. That's an active wait list. So it really reflects the scarcity of real housing options for single moms. And they need that housing to take care of their children. They're trying to manage part-time jobs on low wages and trying to finish their education to build a meaningful career, to provide a better future for their children. Finding suitable, affordable housing for this population is an ordeal in our region. We've all heard about that. We'll hear firsthand. We want to operate housing that provides stability for families. We don't want children to be moving 6 times while they're in elementary school. That doesn't build a good future for them or for the community. And we know that they need the supports with their families to move ahead. Building community is one of the pillars of our housing. Each amenity room is staffed on a part-time basis. There's always a pot of coffee on. We encourage women to pop in. We encourage them to talk to each other. We have free donations of clothes. There's a computer to use. And this is where they can talk to each other, share stories, and normalize their experiences and support each other. We often hear one mom hears another mom received a bursary. She's gone to BCIT. How do I do that? I want to build a better future. I want my children to be proud of me. That's what we hear all the time. That's what I do. That's why I do what I do. We know that having a roof over your head is the first step, but to really move on, they need the support. So the community development staff we have are an essential part of all of our housing services. We also have other programs that connect the women to: a bursary program, an employment navigator, Christmas hampers, backpacks for school with full of supplies. This housing that Byron is proposing here is a great building, as there's so many different rent levels. It's in a great location. So we're hoping our tenants will stay in the building once they can afford market rent, have great jobs, and they can keep there with their community. Their children can stay in the same neighborhood. So thank you so much for considering this project. We believe it's a fantastic opportunity to have high quality rental housing for the most vulnerable in our community, so they can have stability and bright futures. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anything else from the applicant?
No, thank you, Mayor and Council. We're available to answer any questions that you may have.
Great, thanks so much. So Council, now's your time to ask questions of staff or the applicant. Remember, we do have speakers to this item, so you will have an opportunity to ask staff more questions after we hear from the public, but this is the only time you have to ask questions of the applicant. Councillor Swanson, up to 5 minutes, please.
Yeah, I think this is, well, one for the applicant, which is, are you planning on getting any senior government financing?
Through your worship, we will look to explore senior levels of government financing, but no, not at this time. We've not applied.
Okay, thanks. And for staff, you said there's going to be a private childcare. Does that mean it won't be nonprofit?
Thanks for your question, Councillor. Yeah, so it's a private childcare facility, and the operations of that would be determined by the applicant. So it wouldn't necessarily be a nonprofit, but it would have to conform to any childcare design guidelines, of course.
Could it be a nonprofit?
I suppose in theory it could be, but it would
Okay.
be up to the applicant.
Is there any way that we could convert that 12 million in DCLs to increase the amount of housing that's affordable, like give the double the Y's units, something like that?
So the DCLs that are collected for this application are set by by bylaw. So those have to be allocated to certain things that are outlined in the bylaw, certain types of infrastructure investments. So it wouldn't be possible to allocate those back into this project for that purpose.
One of them is affordable housing though, right? That's what the bylaw says.
Right, but it would be a different process for allocating that through the capital planning process.
Okay, when it says that rents are going to be set based on CMHC average rents, is that average rents for Marple or average rents for the city? Because the average rents for Marple are quite a bit lower than the average rents for the city.
I'm going to turn that question over to my colleagues in housing.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is Sarah Robin, the Housing Planner. In terms of the CMHC rates that we've used to index the below market units, those are based on the citywide average, but they do include all of the housing stock, including older buildings as well. So they would be quite a bit below newer rental rates.
Okay, thank you. I'm done.
Mayor, you might be on mute there.
Here I'm saying the councillor's on mute and it's me. Sorry, sorry, Councillor Bly. It's up to you. Over to you, 5 minutes.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. Actually, I just have a couple of quick follow-up questions. To the applicant, there's a recommendation, a suggestion, I'm looking for the exact wording in Appendix B of the report, where staff are recommending that there are additional family units or 3-bedroom units increased from the 1% that's included in the application. Wondered if you had any initial comments on that and if your plan is to increase the 3-bedroom units.
Through your worship, we're going to continue to explore our design development and address the city comments and the staff as we go through the development process.
Okay, great. I do appreciate that. I think that's pretty, important. Just 1% is obviously quite low, but I appreciate there'll be effort there. And I just have one quick follow-up, and that's related to the mid-block Muse or the lower plaza. And I'm just curious, seems to have a lot of benefits related to this development. I'm wondering if this is if you as the applicant incurred more cost in designing the building this way, or just if you have any more context that you can offer council when considering this design feature.
Through your worship, I completely agree with you. I think this is a significant benefit to the community. When I looked at the design of this plaza in comparison to a similar size as Marine Gateway, I think this will be a place that the community comes and frequents. There'll be a significant amount of sunlight. And then we've also designed it so a cafe will spill onto it. Ultimately, my goal is that for all the cyclists in the community, that this will be their destination to go and have that cup of coffee and on a sunny summer day. Yes, it is adding a significant amount of additional cost, but I do believe it's going to be a benefit for our residents as well as the community.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And just a quick follow-up question to staff. I'm just gone through the documents. I may be missing it. It may be related to this being a text amendment, but I'm curious if you could point me in the direction of where I can find out more information about the average unit size in this building.
Thanks for your question, Councillor. We can provide those numbers for you shortly. The unit sizes are outlined in the application documents themselves, but we can follow up with additional details on the average unit sizes if you like.
Okay, that would be great. And apologies if it's there. I just look where we normally have it and I can't seem to find it. So would appreciate any guidance there. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Councillor Hardwick, up to 5, please.
Thank you for staff. The Marple community plan shows towers of 12 and 16 stories, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
How do we go from 12 and 16 to 28 and 32?
Yeah, thanks for your question, Councillor. So basically, staff reviewed this application through the lens of the Ashley Marr Issues Report, which was in response to, of course, the Ashley Marr proposal. Through that, council direction was to have a look at other social inclusionary housing sites for additional heights above the plan, and that's in order to recognize that additional height and density would make them more viable. And that's how we arrived at an application with the heights proposed.
So Ashley Marr is being used as a precedent to establish precedent to justify this height increase.
Ashley Marr was the site that initially precipitated the staff review of the social inclusionary housing sites.
Okay, so how much effort and how many years and how many volunteer hours of residence was put into that Marple plan?
Certainly there was a significant consultation carried out for the Marple plan. I don't have the specific hours or numbers in front of me right now, but it was a multi-year effort.
Significant. So was that, so it was just acceptable to move ahead with this based on this policy rather than re-engaging with the community about this?
Yeah, so the engagement was undertaken 7 or 8 years ago now from when the Marple plan was approved by council, and we did conduct additional engagement through the Marine Landing policy updates, which proceeded to council in December last year, and there was a significant public consultation piece to that as well, which informed the review of this site.
Okay, I just question what message that sends to the people that get involved in community planning and devote thousands of hours to trying to shape the future of their neighborhoods. But those are my questions. Thank you.
Councillor Hardwick, it's Teen here, Senior Rezoning Planner. I just hope I can just quickly jump in. There was a lot of work undertaken with the Marple Community Plan, and it was later discovered through staff identification that there was an opportunity to maximize the housing delivery here, especially being close to transit. So what we did was we undertook an analysis of different sites in the Ashley Mar area, identifying opportunities to really increase social housing and affordable housing. So it was definitely a lot of analysis that took place prior to that issues report being approved by council.
But not with the Marple neighborhood. This was done by staff, not in consultation, and not part of the overarching process that took multiple years.
It was a separate process that came after the Marple Community Plan, correct?
My point. Thank you.
Councillor Boyle, up to 5 minutes for questions, please.
Thanks. I have a question for the applicant about the commercial units included. And I note that the majority of the commercial units in the nearby SkyTrain adjacent buildings are largely multinational companies, and we have so many great small businesses started and rooted here in Vancouver. I'm wondering if there are ways in the design or leasing that you've looked at being able to support local businesses in those commercial units.
Sure, Your Worship. I completely agree with you, Councillor. I think what differentiates our site versus Marine Gateway is that we're a destination site, but we don't have the convenience or I'll call it the transit accessibility that Marine Gateway has, where it's a quick grab and go, which typically really attracts those national tenants. We are designing ours to be neighborhood focused and community, I would say a destination retail. Because we're not at that transit stop, there has to be a reason for the community to frequent and to want to come to our site. And so, yes, that is why we're targeting that animated cafe, that cool factor, which I have to say is typically our local community retailers that actually draws in that community to come and want to actually spend their money at our retail units.
Okay, appreciate those distinctions there, and I will leave it at that. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Councillor Swanson. You have about 3 minutes left, 2.5 minutes. Maybe.
Is it going to be a pet-friendly building for the applicant?
Sure, Your Worship, of course. Every building that Char does is pet-friendly. I have a pet and would only want the same for all the residents as well.
Okay, thanks. That's it.
Thanks, Council. That's it for folks on the questions list. And so we're going to move to speakers. The first speaker on the line or on the list is Nathan Davidovich.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, do you hear me?
We sure do. Up to 5 minutes, please.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. On page 14 of the referral report, they said the site is well served by transit with frequent bus service on Marine Drive and Camby Street. Well, that's not quite true. And yes, there are bus services, number 10, 17, 15, 17, and 100. But, they took away the bus stop that served the Marple Oak Ridge family place at Marine and Ash. And there is no 24/7 bus service on such busy corridors as Marine Drive and Camby Street. I support Councillor Hardwick about the high change, of doubling the height and doubling basically the density almost as well. This would never be done in another city in BC because they all have an official community plan, and you have to change the official community plan before you approve any spot rezoning like this particular thing, a project is. So it's unfortunate that Vancouver is the only city in BC that has different rules than the other cities in BC, and that's why we have all these problems that arise, and that's and that's unfortunate, and the UBCM should inform the provincial government that Vancouver has different rules, and they should get Vancouver to have the same rules as every other city in BC. Thank you very much for hearing me, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for your time today, and I see no questions for you, so I'll move on to the next speaker, who is Andrea Crombine. Sorry.
Hi, it's Andrea Crombine. Can you hear me?
I can. I'm sorry for the mispronunciation. Please go ahead up to 5 minutes.
No problem. It's a bit of an echo on the line, but I'll just go ahead. So, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to Vancouver City Council about 622 Southwest Marine Drive in support of the development, but with just two concerns to highlight. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. I represent the Marple Oak Ridge Family Place, which has served the community of Marple for over 44 years. We serve diverse families with young children in the area, including families led by caregivers, single parents, grandparents. We are a key daily support resource for families, so we support affordable housing for the many low-income and newcomer families near our facility, with their needs a high priority. We offer our support to the project for the following reasons. It offers additional rental stock, so we support this because of the low rental stock trend affecting our families. The 28 heavily discounted homes for single female-led families, this is great. We support this for the vulnerable single mothers in our community. The just a second, lost something there. 117 below market homes. We support this for vulnerable low-income families led by dual struggling parents or grandparents or single fathers in our community. The child care center is essential. Family Place often receives inquiries from families, including newcomer families desperate for child care, even if private. But concern number one is that a non-profit option would serve the needs of the greatest majority of our community. I don't think many of our families can afford the high prices of private child care. We are pleased that the development cost levies will be applied to parks and other infrastructure for the project. But concern number two, we request that the developer focuses considerable attention on the outdoor options planned and infrastructure being planned to ensure that spaces are available for families with children to enjoy, to mitigate the recognized mental and physical health effects of high-rise living. So thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to check with, I don't see anybody on the question queue for you, so just thank you for voting in tonight, and I'll move to the next speaker. Council, we have Celine McRae Hamdy. Next, speaker number 3.
Mayor Stewart, we do not have speaker number 3 on the line.
Thank you. I will move to the next speaker is Mateo Mueller, speaker number 4. Mateo Mueller.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for me tonight and appreciate the opportunity to speak. My name is Mateo, and I'm from Vancouver. I'm a born and raised university student. I came across this proposed development in one of my university classes, in which a few of the classmates are supporters of Ywca and brought the development to my attention. I personally did some research, and I feel the council should be supporting this project. Regarding the development, I appreciate how the developer is providing social housing units for the Ywca to operate. I feel the lack of supply for housing for vulnerable and marginalized women is a key issue that was highlighted by COVID. The pandemic has caused a global surge in partner and domestic violence, and this development will provide much-needed housing supply to essential organizations. Additionally, as I read more and more into this development, I felt compelled to call in and learn this was an option by which I could share my support. One of my biggest issues for me and my friends has been trying to secure housing as a young adult. Having dedicated housing units near rapid transit networks is a forward-thinking urban plan for our city, and I think desperately needed. The development is seeking to fulfill community needs by providing family units and increasing affordability for unique units that we wish to live in. I can see an individual like myself enjoying living in the building, given the amenities in the building itself, like an outdoor games area, but also neighborhood amenities, and again, especially the rapid transit networks. In my opinion, we desperately need housing stock, and this proposed development can help address our housing crisis. So I encourage to vote in support of this rezoning. Thanks again for the opportunity to speak, and wish everyone a happy evening.
Thanks very much. I don't see any. Thank you for participating tonight and sharing your views. The next speaker is speaker number 5, Will Koch.
Hi, Mayor and Council. I'm a 24-year-old born and raised Vancouverite. I think a lot of my points are going to be quite similar to those just preceding mine, so I'll try to keep it fairly brief. I'm keen on continuing to build my life in Vancouver, and as I think a lot of young people are quite intimately aware, it's quite difficult to get any sort of footing in the rental market. I feel that any increase in density is always great news, and this proposed development is a great example of positive density for our community. Not only will these rental units be tenant occupied, meaning units are not simply sitting empty and then sold to offshore investors, but 20% of the total floor space is allocated to below market rental. For someone like me, that's a huge deal. It's an opportunity to be able to get real housing and opportunity in my community. Further, as a young person, as a university student, having rental within a walking distance helps us save on car ownership fees, important both as an aspect of my day-to-day life, but also attempting to practice a greener lifestyle and not being forced to utilize private means of transportation. This development is located right by the Marine Gateway SkyTrain station, making for easy commutes to downtown Vancouver and out to Richmond. I could go on, but many of my points have been echoed in the presentation today, so I'll leave off by encouraging you to vote in support of this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't see any questions for you, speakers, so we'll just leave it there. And again, thank you so much for your input today. Council, the next speaker is Caroline North.
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Sure can. Up to 5 minutes whenever you're ready, please.
Great. My name's Caroline North. I'm a resident of Vancouver and executive director of the North Family Foundation. Since the 1990s, we've supported charitable organizations that are meaningfully addressing environmental issues and social issues in BC, including housing. Our family is a long-term donor to the YWCA's housing initiatives in Metro Vancouver. I would like to speak in support of the development at 622 Southwest Marine Drive, in particular with respect to the YWCA housing component. The partnership between YWCA and Charter Development is an important one, as they are working together to provide 28 units to support single mothers and their children. As we all know, women and children are a population group that has been identified as a key population from the National Housing Strategy. The constraints that single mothers face are quite complex and often exacerbated by poverty. Housing is a critical pillar for providing children with stability in all areas of their development. If we want to change the future of our communities and break the cycle of poverty, it's important to make sure children get to live in a stable and supportive environment. This particular development has several key features that can have a positive impact on the neighborhood. Firstly, there's 35% of the proposed new homes will be family-oriented, filling a serious housing gap in Vancouver, and 28 units will provide affordable homes for women and children. From an environmental livability standpoint, the project prioritizes tree retention, particularly around the new plaza. It is also located close to a significant transit and services hub at the Camby Marine Gateway. We support YWCA housing projects because they're developed and managed with skill and care. They create homes with unparalleled support so that families can thrive. I trust the YWCA will do a fantastic job operating the proposed 28 units and serving women and children who need safe, affordable housing. These homes will surely help women stabilize their lives and provide better opportunities for their children within a supportive community. Thank you.
Thank you for your time this evening. I don't see any questions for you tonight, so we'll just thank you and move on to the next speaker. Council, the next speaker is a new one for me. We have two speakers that describe themselves as YWCA Resident A and YW Resident B. I have discussed with the clerks, and this is allowed. But what I have to do is remind you that these two folks will be speaking anonymously, and that you should you should know this as you're hearing their testimony. So I'll go with speaker number 7, YWCA Resident A.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Can you hear me?
Sure can. Thanks for coming, and up to 5 minutes, please.
Great. Thank you so much for receiving me this evening. I'm a resident in the YWCA housing community, which was built in partnership with Chart Development. And I'm speaking with you tonight to offer my strong support for the proposed development at Southwest Marine Drive. I'm not giving you my name this evening out of safety concerns for myself and my children. As a survivor of physical and sexual assault and someone who suffers from PTSD, protecting the safety of my family is very important, and it's also something that I'm currently able to do because of the housing I have. Several years ago, when I was pregnant with my second child, I was in a dangerous situation, and at the time I didn't have the resources to flee the violence that was threatening me and my unborn child. Pregnancy is particularly a vulnerable time for women when it comes to domestic abuse. My own mother faced violence as she carried me in her womb, and decades later I found myself in a similar situation. There's often talk about how society lacks the social safety nets needed to keep vulnerable populations safe. And indeed, there was no foreseeable way for me to get us out of the danger we faced. Thankfully for me and my children, the YWCA was able to catch us when we were slipping through society's cracks and provide us with emergency shelter in one of their transition homes. I was later able to find permanent housing with them, and the partnership with the YWCA and Chart on the North Shore has been a wonderful opportunity for us. When I went into the transition home, of course, I was thankful to be able to have safety for us as my number one concern, but it also meant leaving the community where my daughter had been going to school and where all our support systems were. On my own, I would never have been able to return to the community where we have our roots and support systems. And I've had to, in the past, secure housing on my own, and it meant living down the hall from regular violence, living with bug infestations, and being afraid each night with my newborn baby in my arms about what would come breaking through the thin plywood door in the middle of the night. In striking contrast, the gorgeous 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment I currently have, thanks to the YWCA and Chart, is high-quality housing, which provides my children and I not just the safety and security we need to foster our healing, but also the beautiful building and the great privilege it is to live here has returned to us much of the dignity which we lost during our difficult seasons. Even years later, my PTSD remains a struggle, and when your nervous system is constantly in survival mode, even the simplest task can be impossible. One of the many benefits about YWC housing is the chance to be in community with other mothers and children, and also to have access to resources through the support staff. I do not know where my children and I would be if we had not been able to secure this housing. Safe housing is the strong foundation upon which everything our family is trying to rebuild. Not only did this housing help us when we needed it most, but it is uplifting us and offering my children a brighter future than I could offer them on my own. And the fact that I have access to amenities like a gym are so valuable for the repair and maintenance of my mental health, which in turn helps me be the mom my kids need me to be. It's such a blessing to have housing through Chart and YWCA, and it's no exaggeration to say that it saved our lives. Somewhere tonight and every night, there is a mother and her children who are praying for the miracle of safe and affordable housing. This proposed development will answer their prayers, and I urge you to please support it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing your story this evening. You do have questions from Councillor Boyle. Councillor Boyle, up to 5 minutes.
Thank you so much. And I know we're just supposed to ask questions, but I just really wanted to say thank you for sharing such a really moving and powerful story.
Thank you, Councillor Boyle. There are no other councillors with questions, speakers, so thanks again for coming in and adding to this debate in a very significant way. Council, the next speaker will be YWCA Speaker 2.
Hello.
Hi there. You have up to 5 minutes.
Hi.
Whenever you want to go, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Gemma Martinez, or as in Spanish, Gemma, because it goes with the G. And I have a 8-year-old son. And we have gone long away in all these years. Talking about myself, about 7 years ago, I had to flee from a violent relationship, sadly, with my then partner. I felt like I had to leave as of life was in serious danger. And suddenly, I had to gather my few things, the most basic, like the stroller, some papers, important papers like my passport, and just go to my friend's house. And that's the way that I became homeless. That friend, she dropped in an organization. The organization helped me to get in a transition house. I didn't have idea what was that. And after being in the transition house, they told me I can stay there just for a month. And after that, I had to find where to live. I was struggling because for me, I was just laid off some months before, as my employer went bankrupt and they had to close. It was not under my control, and also I had no employment. Well, I had to find somewhere to stay. The day my son and I left, a friend dropped us in that place, and then after the transition house, I was playing co-ops and sending a lot of applications to any rent that I see in Facebook and market with friends, basements, any place that I want to try to find a house or a home or basement, a room, whatever I could find to live with my son, because if not, if I don't have where to live, my son is going to be in a foster family. My son in at that time, he was 18 months old. And as a mom, well, my goal was to stay with my son, no matter what. I was playing. I couldn't afford any rent. They were way so above my budget, and I started to feel hopeless, like I've been in a kind of nightmare, in a hell. Finally, a door opens, and they offer me a second stage. Then I didn't know what is a second stage. Then explain me, second stage is a house, safety house, where you can be there for a year. And at the same time was kind of relief, because then I have somewhere to stay at least 52 weeks, and I can deal with lawyers and family counselors and counselors of the ministry of family. And when I was in the middle of almost 8 months old, and I couldn't find anywhere, because I was applying every single day, like applying for a job, sending applications, and sending messages to say, hey, I need to rent. I'm looking for a spot. But as again I said, my budget was so limited. And the family counselor from the ministry told me about the YWCA. She explained me what is the YWCA and what they are for. And then she helped me to fill out the form. So lucky, like I win in a lot on max. I got approved for a unit. And I'm not afraid to say I'm very happy tenant from the YWCA, and the name is House with Care. We could move on April 2017. Since there, we're having a happy life. My son is growing into the community. He's going to school here. He's in the aftercare school. He has lots of friends. In the building, we have a lot of friends, neighbors that become family, and we have a lot of support. as a single mom. We had food. They help us with hampers, with backpacks, with everything that we need in case we are struggling. When I got the safety of being in a house, my brain could settle down, and I finished college. And right now I have a full-time job that gave me the money or the income that I need to be in charge of all my bills. And I would like really, really ask you that you have the power to work with this project. You have a lot of women that are there outside struggling to have a house where to live, because it's so hard when you are one day to another with a house, a home, and with your children in there. It's a nightmare, a hell, not having where to live. And I know that if the YWCA, they have a house, they are going to be happy there. They're going to be the safety to have part of the community.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us this evening. I know I can speak for council that we're all glad that your life is on a safe and prosperous path. So thanks again for calling in this evening. There are no questions for you from councilors, so we will move on to the next speaker. But again, thank you so much for your participation this evening, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council, I'm just checking here, but I do think that is all in terms of speakers. So yes, so now I'm going to call for the first time any speakers who'd like to speak to this item. 1-833-353-8610, code 55691 pound. And clerk's going to check with you if there's anybody on the line in the chambers to speak to this item.
No.
Okay, great, thanks. I'm going to call a second time. 1-833-353-8610. 55691 pound is the code. And again, I'm just going to check with the clerks.
Again, no.
Okay, great. So I'm going to call the third time, same number, same code. Council, it is 7 o'clock on the dot, so I'm going to come back at 7:05, check the list, and then move to debate and decision. We'll see you in 5 minutes.
Testing, hello. Is there echo? Do we have echo in the chamber?
Hi, Council. 7:06. Gonna check to make sure we have quorum. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8. I think everybody's back, clerks.
Mayor Stewart, it is the clerk here. Just before you go back,
Yep.
we're having a little bit of an issue with our TELUS line. Could you just give us another moment, please?
No problem. Just let me know when you're ready.
Yep. We'll try to be quick.
Thank you.
Mayor Stewart, it's the clerk here again. We are having an issue with the TELUS line and we need to hang up and call again.
Okay.
We'll put up a sign that we're just having a few.
We're done on this item in terms of phoning in, so we could probably proceed to debate and decision while you're trying to fix it.
I think, just let me check that, but I think we have to do the phone when the meeting's not live.
Okay.
Okay, it's starting to look good. Sorry for that interruption. We are good now.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Right, so we'll just check. Are there any other speakers on the line, clerks? Or in the chambers?
No one in the chamber. No speakers.
Great. Okay, thanks. So we'll close the speakers list now. And as we've had few or no public comments after 5 p.m. today, we're going to close the receipt of public comments. I'm just going to ask the applicant if they have any closing comments.
No further comments, Your Worship.
Thanks. Staff, any closing comments?
Thanks, Mayor. We do have some closing comments. I'm just going to turn it over to Teen Fan Senior Rezoning Planner.
Okay, thank you.
Hi there, it's Teen Fan Senior Rezoning Planner. Just checking that you can hear me.
Sure can. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, we wanted to just address two questions that were posed to staff just a little earlier. The first one is just around clarification around the consultation. Council adopted the Ashley Mar Issues Report in 2020, and that directed staff to engage in additional planning work. And from this point, we undertook a comprehensive area analysis of the marine landing area, and this resulted in the marine landing update policy, which was adopted by Council just this past December in 2021. And that did include a community engagement portion. Just for Council's clarification, that portion of community engagement involved a 3-week Shape Your City virtual open house, which included 10,000 postcards, as well as staff who attended specific meetings with the Marple Area Network Group, Vancouver School Board meetings, and meetings with First Nations. Finally, there was a question from Councillor Bly about the unit sizes, and staff wanted to just list that here. The sizes are comparable to many other rental projects. So we have approximate unit sizes. For the market rental portion, for studios, we have 421 square feet. For 1 bed, we have 520 square feet. 2 beds is 770. And for 3 beds, we have 1,008 square feet. That's separated out by the non-market, which includes 406 square feet for studios, 564 for 1 bed, 784 for 2 bed, and 1,000 square feet for 3 bed. And this is a lot of information, so staff can happily follow up with the table.
Thank you so much. Right, so just checking to see if council has any questions for staff. Councillor Bly, please go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor. I just actually had a quick question to staff. Thank you very much for the information on the unit sizes. And was it in the report, just so I'm sort of able to make sure I understand what comes and what doesn't come based on the process and may be helpful for the rest of council and for the public, that was it in the report? And if not, is there a reason? And I'm, again, hypothesizing it might be related to this being a text amendment, but just wonder if you can confirm for me, please.
Thanks for your question, Councillor. Yeah, to clarify, the unit size, the average unit size breakdown wasn't provided in the report, but it's certainly something that we can look at including in future reports if it's of help for council. The unit sizes, I would say, were included on the application documents, but noted it wasn't in the report.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I don't see anyone else on the queue. Mayor, I'm happy to make the recommendation.
I'll second it, Councillor DeGenova.
Do you have a point of privilege?
I did. I just wanted to let you know that I had been listening. I just joined the meeting now, but I've listened to the entire proceedings because I know I have to confirm that to vote, Mayor.
Yeah, great, thanks. So we've had it moved by Councillor Bly, seconded by Councillor DeGenova, and go then, if there's any debate, I'm going to move us to the main queue. Sorry, so we're on the main queue now. Could you put yourself on the queue if you'd like to speak to this? Councillor Swanson, up to 5 minutes for debate and decision here.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote for this. I have a soft spot for single parents since I was one for a long time. And I really like the YWCA proposal, the fact that there's childcare, although I wish the childcare were nonprofit. Pet friendly is good. So I can't really resist it. But at the same time, I'm realizing that over 400 of these units are going to be expensive. Some of them are probably going to be really expensive because they'll have views because they'll be really high. And by my calculations, only 2.6% of the total units will be for the 50% of renter households whose income is under 50,000. I do think it would be good if we could use that 12 million in DCLs to double the WISE units. We need to do more to reduce that 1,800 person wait list they say they have. But I guess 28 units is better than nothing. So in this case, I can't resist voting for it. That's it.
Councillor Bly, up to 5, please.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I'll be very brief. I too am happy to support this application, and you know, things that stand out in addition actually to a number of things that Councillor Swanson just named was around the tree retention, and I think clearly this is the right location, being so closely located near a major transit station with a Canada Line, but particularly the lower plaza and how that connects 70th and Marine Drive. To me, that speaks to the goals that we have as council around livability, more access to sun, reduced pollution, traffic noise, things like that. These are all the benefits that come with that type of design. So just appreciating that the applicant made this a priority despite increasing costs to the overall development. And then in addition to that, acknowledging the one bedroom average size is around 564 square feet. We saw an application a couple of meetings ago that the one bedroom was 385 square feet. So I know I'm starting to sound like a bit of a broken record around livability, but I think it's just important that we do keep our eye on size of units. And to me, when I look at this application, I think that it's striking the right balance, of course, acknowledging as well the public benefits around the childcare, the stability that it provides, the amenities that our speaker spoke to. So with that, I just want to thank the speakers very much for their compelling testimony, their compelling shares around their own personal experiences, and just appreciate the overall presentation, and just to acknowledge that, of course, there is a Marple development plan and a community plan that I too have invested lots of time meeting with residents who worked on that plan. And it is evolving quite quickly. So we need to keep coming back to that, of course, to bring those along who put the time and effort and forward-thinking vision at that time into that plan to make sure that it's adaptive to the current changing needs in that area. But overall, I think this is a really good application. I'm happy to support it.
Thanks. Councillor Dejanova.
Thanks very much. Can you hear me, Mayor? I'm having some
Sure can.
technical
Yep.
difficulties. Great. I'd like to speak in support of this and also thank the speakers who took the time to share their experiences tonight. I also want to thank our staff and the applicant. I know that projects like this can never be easy to move forward, and I know that there were many steps over many years, especially on this one, but I'm really excited that this is close to transit. It will have, sizable childcare. The YWCA is an excellent nonprofit that provides great service to I'd say, a diverse population, but especially I'd say to vulnerable and marginalized people. And we've worked with the YWCA before. So really happy to see the applicant pulling all of this together, working with staff on that, and doing this in a way that really brings services and communities not only together, but nearby to transit. And I think that that is so important, especially as we look towards, locating possibly 24-hour or extended hour childcare, for working parents. And I think, locating that especially near to transit is a consideration. I'm not sure if this is going to have 24-hour extended hour childcare. My hope is that maybe it can one day. But I really do want to thank staff and the applicant team. And I want to thank all of the community members, including the YWCA, for their participation in this, and Charter Development's, the applicant as well. I know it's been a long road, but happy to see this move forward and vote in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hardwick.
Yes, thank you. To abstain under the Vancouver Charter counts as a vote in support. I just want to state that right up front because at the end of the day, this will count as a vote of support from me. As a single parent that raised two girls by myself from kindergarten to grade 12, I can certainly appreciate what the YWCA and the need for housing for single mothers, for single parents, how important that is. And I support this development on that basis. But I remain concerned about the dismissing of our community plans, because again, what I see is that council and staff, notwithstanding the decisions that were made by this council, it's continuing a pattern that really was begun by the former council over a decade, where we stopped listening to the will of the people in the neighborhoods, and doubling the height and density on this site on the basis of the nearby development is just not enough rationale for me. And on top of it, of course, it's all based on a narrative that has not been supported around our housing demand issues with the data. And for those reasons, I'll just continue to try and draw attention to the shortcomings of our policies and the assumptions that underlie them. But do we need housing for single mothers? You betcha. And on that basis, this has my support. Thank you.
Sorry, I just had a little glitch here, Council. Councillor Weeb, you're next.
Yeah, I'll be voting in support. I think the DCLs are important to deliver the amenities that are much needed in that neighborhood. As someone who's been involved in those community plans, I recognize that changes will happen. However, there are amenities that have been promised that neighborhood that need to be delivered, and I'm happy to see that the Fraser River Trail was on there, expansion of William Mackey Park. There's a lot of great amenities that hopefully we can utilize these DCLs to deliver. I think the building did a great job with public realm and amenity space. I think this is a very livable building. I think there's some great amenities that are being delivered, and I think it's in the right location. So I appreciate the collaborative approach of how this was brought to council, and I will be fully supportive. Thanks.
Thank you. That's it for debate. So we can move to a vote on this item. There we go. That is passed with none in opposition, Council. So thanks and congratulations to the applicants, and thank you to staff. Council, we're going to move on to the next item, which is the CD1 rezoning of 2061 East Broadway. Just going to ask up front here, if anybody has a conflict of interest, please declare it now. State your reasons for exiting the meeting. If not, if there's nobody, we'll move on to the clerk reading the application and summary of correspondence.
This is an application by Ywca Development Limited to rezone 2037 to 2061 East Broadway from RT5N Residential District to CD1 Comprehensive Development District to permit the development of a 6-story residential building consisting of 54 strata-titled residential units. A height of 20.8 meters, 68 feet, and a floor-to-space ratio of 2.65 are proposed. The General Manager of Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability recommends approval subject to conditions set out in the summary and recommendation of the public hearing agenda. No correspondence has been received on this application since referral to the public hearing.
Thank you. Right, and so if anybody wants to speak to this item, it's 1-833-353-8610, code 55691 pound. And let's see here. So are there any, right, I'm going to ask if the applicant team is here to speak to the application.
Yes, we are.
Great, thanks. You're a little faint. If you could sit closer to your microphone, that would be great.
Yes, we are. This is Troy Abramaitis with Ywca Developments, and we're here with the architect and consultant team.
Great. Do you have a presentation, or you just want to answer questions?
We're happy to answer questions.
Okay, great, thanks. So, Council, you now have an opportunity to ask questions to staff or the applicant team. This is your only chance to ask questions to the applicant, but you do have a chance later to ask questions of the staff. Councilor Dejanova?
Is there a presentation from staff?
I think we do want to see it. Thanks, Councilor.
I was happy to waive if you wanted,
Nope,
but I did
there are speakers to this too. Sorry, I just skipped over that part in the script by accident. So yeah, staff, please go ahead with the presentation.
Okay, thanks, Mayor and Council. My name is Joseph Tohill, and I'm the rezoning planner for this application on East Broadway, which is being considered under the Grandview Woodland Community Plan. Just want to double check that you can see my slides and hear my voice okay?
Yes, can, thanks.
Okay, so this site is comprised of 4 lots zoned RT5N and is located on East Broadway between Sunland Drive and Lakewood Drive. There are currently 4 single detached homes on the site that were built between 1931 and 1949 and not deemed to have heritage value. Directly to the east along Broadway are single detached homes that are anticipated to develop into 6-story residential buildings, while the single detached homes to the west are anticipated to develop into a 6-story mixed-use building with at-grade commercial. Across the lane to the north are single detached homes zoned RM8A, which allows for stacked townhouses or row houses. The homes currently on site are owner occupied, and therefore the tenant relocation and protection policy does not apply. The site is located within the Grandview Woodland neighborhood, about 3 blocks from the commercial Broadway SkyTrain station. Laura Secord Elementary School is located 100 meters away to the southeast, and a number of amenities are located nearby, including childcare facilities, schools, parks, and Trout Lake Community Center. The site is within the Grandview Woodland Community Plan, which was adopted in 2016 and is intended to shape growth and change over the next 30 years. The plan is a culmination of a 4-year public process that included a range of community engagement opportunities, combined with community needs assessments, technical and design analysis, and economic testing. The plan aims to create new housing opportunities and enhance existing shopping areas while protecting the apartment stock and heritage buildings, improving public spaces, and addressing opportunities for equity and reconciliation. The site is located within the Broadway East multifamily sub-area of the plan, which is envisioned to evolve with new apartments and ground-oriented housing. Direction for the site is for a residential building up to 6 stories with a density up to 2.65 FSR. Upper stories are to be set back to reduce shadowing impacts on nearby properties. This application was received on January 29th of 2021. The proposal is for a 6-story residential building with an FSR of 2.65 and a height of 20.8 meters. 54 strata-titled residential units are proposed, with 50% of units provided as family units with 2 or more bedrooms. In terms of average unit sizes, studios are around 464 square feet, 1 bed's at 585 square feet, 2 beds at 763 square feet, and 3 beds at 989 square feet, approximately on average. 2 levels of parking are located underground with access from the lane, and this development would generate approximately 85 construction jobs. During the virtual open house, staff received a total of 25 pieces of feedback. Support was expressed for the height, density, and design, the additional housing stock, and the public realm features. Key concerns were for the height, density, and design, traffic and safety concerns in the neighborhood, the type of housing proposed, and the lack of retail proposed. In response, the density, height, and built form align with the objectives in the Grandview Woodland Plan. Rezoning conditions further enhance the design of the building and improve the outdoor amenity space. To address transportation safety concerns, conditions have been included to improve the safety for all road users, including intersection improvements, enhanced street lighting, and laneway improvements. Staff note that the proposal addresses planned policies for increasing the supply of ownership housing in the neighborhood. And in regards to retail, the plan does not envision retail space for this site. However, new developments directly west and also 400 meters to the east will be required to provide at-grade retail. This application generates approximately $712,000 in community amenity contributions to be allocated to the public benefits outlined under the Grandview Woodland Public Benefits Strategy. Development cost levies of approximately $1.2 million are expected. In summary, this proposal meets the intent of the Grandview Woodland Community Plan. Staff recommend approval subject to conditions in Appendix B. Staff and the applicant team are available to answer questions. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Great, Council. So it's your time now to ask questions, and to staff of the applicant, Councilor Bly, up to 5 minutes. Whoops, cut you off there. Sorry.
I think that's a holdover, Mayor, from the
It
previous.
is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Sorry, Councillor Dejanova, I think I knocked you off there. There you go. Councillor Dejanova, up to 5 minutes.
Thanks so much. I understand in the staff presentation and in also reading the policy report on this that as staff just stated, this is an opportunity for ownership. I'm just wondering if this is considered affordable ownership and if there was any possibility for this project to qualify for BC Housing's Affordable Home Ownership Program, or if that was out of reach considering the pro forma. Or would you prefer I ask the applicant that question?
Thanks for your question, Councillor. Certainly happy to provide a response to the first one. So the plan specifies that a residential apartment up to 6 stories would be anticipated for this site, but allows it to be option of strata or rental, and it would be up to the applicant to elect which option they chose for the site. In terms of the affordability, it would increase the supply of housing options in the neighborhood as per the plan. But of course, as a strata residential development, the prices would be driven by the market, essentially. And then the second part of your question, I actually kind of missed part of it, if you wouldn't mind.
It was about the BC Housing Affordable Home Ownership Program through the Community Housing Hub, and wondering if this project would still be eligible, if it even was eligible for that, considering the flexibility in rental or strata.
So I'm actually just going to turn that question over to Team Fan, Senior Planner in Rezoning.
Thanks, Councillor, for that question. I might actually turn it over to the applicant team, but I don't think that currently they haven't applied for BC Housing funding, and I'm not sure if the applicant intends to, but recognizing this is a strata project. So.
Just before you do turn them over, because strata is ownership and affordable home ownership is a BC housing program. Is there anything that precludes our city policy from them applying for this?
We don't actually have a current city policy that does preclude them, so it would probably be totally up to the applicant at their discretion.
Thanks. I didn't want to have to go back and forth. So if I could ask the applicant to answer that, if there was any exploration of BC Housing's affordable home ownership program for any of these units, and if you were even eligible for that or would want to apply.
Hi, this is Trevor Mice with Bucci Developments. We did not explore the BC housing program. We were primarily focused on delivering market strata condos, and that was part of our development decision when we put in the application and purchased the property, was to focus on delivering market strata condos, not the BC housing program.
Okay, thanks. Are you aware of the BC Housing Community Housing Hub program that would that accommodates for affordable home ownership, that accommodates middle income earners and basically lends them a down payment and holds a certain stake of interest, but isn't the whole building, obviously. It's some units in the building. I'm wondering if you were aware of their program.
We are familiar with their program, but again, it wasn't a consideration with respect to our development program for this particular project.
Thanks very much for answering my question. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for the question.
Councillor, we have up to 5 minutes, staff or applicant.
And my question is to staff, and it's on the community amenity contribution under $24 a square foot. I'm just wondering, what was the appraisal technique we utilized to get to that number, recognizing it's lower than we're seeing on a lot of other projects?
Thanks for your question, Councillor. So the CAC for this site is a fixed rate CAC, and the work that went into developing that fixed rate would have been undertaken by staff when they were determining those rates for different parts of the city. So for this particular development, there wasn't any further analysis of the economics of the CAC. It's just applying a fixed rate that has been determined previously.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's it for questions. Council, so we're going to move to hear from the public. 1-833-353-8610, 55691 to get on the list. And I think our first caller is Nathan Davidovich.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please go ahead.
You
Up
can hear
to
me?
5 minutes.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Thank you very much. I'm just going to read from page 7 of the referral report. It says, this site is well served by transit with the commercial Broadway transit station 3 blocks west of the site, and frequent bus service provided on both Broadway and Commercial Drive. Well, that's, again, not quite true. We do have 24/7 bus service on Broadway, but not quite the same on Commercial Drive. Bus service on Broadway east of Commercial Drive is up to 40% less than west of Commercial Drive. And with these new apartments, we need better bus service to serve these new residents on East Broadway. In case you do not know, there is no SkyTrain station at Nanaimo and 12th Avenue. The next station is at Renfrew and 12th Avenue. So the distance is 2.2 kilometers between Broadway and Commercial Station and Renfrew Station, which is longer than any, I think, distance in the city of Vancouver between two adjacent stations. Previous city council have discussed this issue and asked that proper bus service be provided east of Commercial Drive. All we need is this council to support what previous city council have already passed a motion about it. We have to stop approving more housing unless we get more proper bus service. And TransLink gets money from each new apartment via development cost levy, which your staff conveniently do not want to report to you how much money they're going to get out of this development. But they get money, but they don't want to improve the bus service on East Broadway. So here we go again, same thing. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you for your time this evening. I don't see any questions for you, so we're going to move on to the next speaker. The next speaker is Celine McRae-Hamdy.
Not on the line.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to call the first time for speakers then. It is the same number that I've tweeted out. That's tweeted out before on the live stream. And clerks, anybody on the line or in the chambers?
No.
Okay, second call, 1-833-353-8610, code 55691 pound to get on the speakers list. Is there anyone there, clerks?
No.
Great. So we're going to make the third call now. Council, it is 7:40. We'll come back at 7:45 to finish this item off. Thank you.
No one in the chamber, just checking for the line, and no one on the line, Mayor Sturridge.
Okay, so we're going to close the speakers list on this item, and as we haven't had any correspondence or much of it after 5 p.m., we're going to close receipt of public comments. And I'm going to ask the applicant if they have any closing comments.
No closing comments other than just thank you very much for consideration of our application this evening.
Thanks a lot. Staff, any closing comments?
No further comments from staff, Mayor. Thanks.
Any council questions to staff? Don't see anybody on the queue. Can I have somebody move the motion, please?
So moved, Councillor DeGenova.
Thanks. We have a seconder.
Councillor Carr.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. So it's moved and seconded. I'm going to move to the debate queue. Any debate on this item? Councillor Hardwick, please go ahead. Up to 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's not so much debate as an observation. I'm just looking at the assessment roll slide for the increase in assessed land value over the decade from 2012 now to 2022. And we see that that the land in the area above it, according to our zoning, has more than doubled in that period of time. And in fact, accelerated even over the pandemic as we approved more units than ever before in the history of the city last year. And if there is any doubt that continuing to produce strata, market strata, is contributing to that aggregate land inflation, I could say I have a bridge I'll sell you. Because continuing this pattern that we have is, again, just adding what is referred to as galloping inflation, where we see inflation rising to 10% per more per year, and it can just wreak absolute havoc on a local economy such as it is with ours. So I don't see anything changing in this council over the course of the next year leading up to the election. But I do want to point out that when you continue down this path, you are just exacerbating the affordability problem, not helping it. Thank you.
Don't see anybody else in the queue to speak, so we'll vote on this item. Councillors Kirby, Young, and Fry. Councillor Kirby, Young. There we go. That has passed with Councillor Swanson and Councillor Hardwick in opposition. Thank you, Council. We're going to move to the next item. Okay, so item number 3, rezoning on 7949 Camby Street. I'm going to ask prompt first. If anybody has a conflict of interest, please declare it. I'll get the clerks to read the application and summary of correspondence. I would suggest, Council, that perhaps we can waive this presentation.
Move to waive.
We'll just wait till we read the application, but I'll just let you think about it first. Go ahead, Nicholas Stanford from the Rezoning Center. Sorry, clerks, read the application. I'm punch drunk now, so okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Go ahead, clerk.
This is an application by GUD Group to rezone 7929 to 7949 Camby Street from RS1 Residential District to CD1 Comprehensive Development District to permit the development of a 6-story residential building consisting of a 33 strata-titled residential units. A height of 19.8 meters or 65 feet with additional height for a rooftop amenity and a floor space ratio of 2.6 are proposed. The General Manager of Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability recommends approval subject to conditions set out in the summary and recommendation of the public hearing agenda. The following correspondence has been received since referral to public hearing. 1 piece of correspondence in support and 2 pieces of correspondence dealing with other aspects of the application. This represents all correspondence received up to 5 p.m. today.
Great. And again, if you want to participate on this item, 1-833-353-8610, code 55691#. We have Nicholas Stanford here from the Rezoning Center, but as I suggested, we might waive this presentation.
Move to waive, Councillor Dujanoga.
Thanks. You have a seconder on that?
Second, Councillor Carr.
All in favor, yay.
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 Opposed, nay. Thanks. So we waived the, so I'm going to ask now if the application team is here to speak to the application.
Yes, hello, this is Dan Lenender from GOD Group.
Hi, do you have anything to show us or did you want to answer questions?
No, that's...
Answer questions, okay. So are there any questions from staff, council to the staff or the applicant team? So put yourself on the list. Don't see anybody on the queue. So we'll move to the speakers list. Let's double check, no. Okay, so we have, I think the first speaker is Nathan Davidovich. Nathan Davidovich, speaker one.
Yeah, do you hear me?
Sure do. Up to 5 minutes, please.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and members of council. On page 7 of the referral report, there is no mention at all about bus service on Camby Street. I presume the staff are too embarrassed to report that the bus service was cut back by 50% or so after 2009. There is also no mention of the discontinued bus stop at Camby and 64th. Here we're going to have a new apartment, and the bus stop right outside the apartment has, or right beside it, is not there anymore. There is a northbound bus stop across the street at Camby and 64th, but nothing heading south. Back in 2019, Richmond City Council approved the extension of the number 15 bus to YVR. Of course, your staff is not interested in reporting that to you, and there's no mention, well, it was never brought to council in 2019 to support Richmond Council request to extend the bus to YVR and therefore provide 24/7 bus service and train service to YVR. But I don't know, somebody has to change some of these reports that come to you and update them to the current status and what's happening. But I don't know who's going to do it. Well, thank you very much for your listening to me.
Thank you. Thank you. And I don't see any, Councillor Carr, please go ahead, up to 5 minutes for questions.
Yeah, thanks. I won't take 5. Thank you, Mayor. Nathan, I just really want to thank you for your incredible diligence in coming to council and relaying to us the current status of the bus service and transit service within the city. It is such an issue of equity and certainly key to our ability to reduce GHGs if people can get out of their cars and take transit instead, unless they can walk or cycle to wherever they're going to. So it's just really a thank you for keeping us informed.
Yeah, well, as you said, it's very important when you pass the climate emergency thing, and then the bus service keep deteriorating instead of getting improved. So yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Yeah.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions, so we're going to move to the next speaker, who is Celine McRae-Hamby.
Speaker 2 not on the line.
Thank you so much. That's it for a registered speakers council. So I'm going to call for the first time for speakers. Sorry, I'm just going to call. You can phone in or in the Chambers, clerks on the first call, anybody in chambers are on the line?
No.
Okay. Second call, 1-833-353-8610, code 55691 pound. Anybody there, clerks?
No.
Thanks. This is the third call for speakers. It is 7:56. Council will come back at 8:01 for complete item number 3. See you in 5 minutes. I just wondering if there's anybody else on the line?
Just double checking, Mayor. No
Okay.
one in the chamber and no one on the line.
Great. Okay, so that's it for public speakers, and we're going to close the list now. And as we've had little correspondence after 5, we're going to close the receipt of public comments. I'm going to ask the applicant if they have any closing comments.
No closing comments other than we hope this project gets approved, and we're happy to contribute to Camby Corridor. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff, any closing comments? Staff, any closing comments?
Mayor Stewart, Clerk here, we'll just double check that we haven't lost the connection.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Mayor Stewart, it appears the planning staff's audio has disconnected.
Okay, I can see Teresa.
And they've indicated they do not have comments.
Okay.
We've lost the connection in the conference room, but we have no closing comments. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, great. Thanks. I just want you available just in case there's questions from council. So I'm just going to check. Are there any questions from council to staff? I don't see anybody on the queue, so we'll ask somebody to move the motion, please.
Yeah, so moved, Councillor Carr.
Second, Councillor DeGenova.
Thank you, Councillor Carr, seconded by Councillor DeGenova, and I'm going to move us over to the main queue for debate. Does anybody like to comment on this project? I don't see anybody on the queue, so I'll move to a vote, please. Councillor Weeb and Councillor Hardwick. Councillor Weeb. Okay, there we go. Thank you. That is passed with Councillor Hardwick and Councillor Swanson in opposition. Okay, Council, we're moving to the fourth and final item on the agenda today. When we get to the presentation side, I just say may want to waive this one as well. This is a text amendment on 150 Robson Street. Just please declare a conflict of interest now if you have one. Otherwise, we'll get the clerk to read the application. Please go ahead, clerks.
This is an application by GBL Architects to amend the zoning and development bylaw for CD1 776 at 118 150 Robson Street, now 828 Camby Street, to increase the floor space ratio to 10.33 and increase the floor area for residential use from 14,901.2 square meters to 15,469.7 square meters, of which no more than 14,687.9 square meters may be strata-titled residential floor area. The General Manager of Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability recommends approval subject to conditions set out in the summary and recommendation of the public hearing agenda. No correspondence has been received for this application since referral to public hearing.
Thank you.
Move to waive
Council.
presentation.
Sure, thanks so much. Seconder for that?
A second, Councillor Carr.
Thanks. All in favor, yay.
Yay.
Opposed, nay. Thanks so much. We have Ywca Vissers here from the Rezoning Center to answer questions. And do we have an applicant team for this one? I think we might. Yes.
Yes, we do. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Sean O'Flynn. I'll be representing the applicant team along with our project architect, Roberto Potter of GBL. Look forward to any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. At this stage, do we have any questions from the council to the applicant team or the staff? I don't see anybody on the queue. Okay, so I'm going to make a call for, sorry, we're going to go to the public now. We have Nathan Davidovich. Whoops. Nathan Davidovich is the first speaker. Get Nathan Davidovich on the line. Yes, we can. Please go ahead. Up to 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and Council. On page 7 of the referral report, it says that the proposed site is well served by public transit with frequent bus service along Robson Street. Well, there is only one way bus service on Robson, just heading west. There is nothing heading east between Granville and Camby. It's one of the only major streets probably in Metro Vancouver that doesn't have two-way bus service. Not that it didn't have it. It had two-way bus service for about 100 years, and it was taken away. I went and spoke to the downtown BIA, and they say, yes, we want that bus service back. It doesn't make any sense to have a major street like Robson Street and have only bus service one way. And now we're adding more people on Robson, and how are they going to get there? The other problem is, there are 3 bus routes on Camby Street, the number 5, 6, and 17, and we need to take away the parking during the rush hour at least to help speed up these 3 bus routes. The bus service that goes over the Camby Bridge is only available 21 hours a day instead of 24/7 like on Granville Bridge. And that's another problem. It's a major bridge, and there's 3 hours of missing service on that bridge. So thank you very much again for listening to me.
Thank you. There are no questions for you, so thank you for participating this evening, and move on to the next speaker. The next listed speaker is Celine McRae Hamdy. Clerks, do we have speaker 2 on the line?
Just double checking, Mayor Stewart.
Thank you.
And no.
Great. We are going to make my first call then for speakers on this item. The number to call in is on Twitter and on a live stream. And just check with the clerks. Is there anybody on the line or in council chambers?
No.
Great. I'll second call, 1-833-353-8610, code 55691#. Anybody on the line, clerks?
No.
Okay, so this is the third call. Council is 8:10. We'll come back at 8:15 to finish this item. chambers?
There is no one in the chamber, and I'm just double checking the line, and no.
Great. Okay, thanks so much. So we're going to close the speakers list. And since we haven't had any comments since 5, we're going to close the receipt of public comments. Ask the applicant if they have any closing comments.
No, we don't. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Staff, any closing comments?
No closing comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from staff or to staff? Councillor Dejanova?
No, sorry. I was prepared to move the motion.
Well, there's no one else on the question list, so if you want to move it, please go ahead.
So moved. Move adoption of the staff recommendations.
Thanks. Do we have a seconder?
Second, Councillor.
Councillor Carr, I think I heard there.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we're on the queue. Any debate on this item? I don't see anybody, so let's call the vote. Councillor Weeb and Councillor Kirby-Young. Great, that passes unanimously. Congratulations to the applicant. Thank you, staff. Council, that's it for items. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Hardwick. Seconded by Councillor Dejanova. All in favor, yay.
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 Opposed, nay. Great. So that's it. We're adjourned. Thank you very much, Council. See you tomorrow morning.
Good night.
Yep. Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, staff.
Good night, everybody.